If South Africans really wanted the land, they would start treating elections as more than a ritual and see them what they really are for: mechanisms of leverage. Land reform doesn't fail because it lacks merit. It fails because the people responsible for implementing it face little political consequence for neglecting it. Voting is not just about choosing who governs, it's about signaling what issues carry weight among the electorate. When voters prioritize personalities over policy, the result is predictable. Campaign promises about land redistribution are made loudly before elections and quietly forgotten afterwards, right? But when citizens study each party's actual voting record, when they question their representatives during town halls and track whether land related legislation is progressing through parliament, they create accountability that cannot be ignored. The difference between a campaign promise and a binding policy lies in the political cost of not delivering. The question isn't whether the system works, it's whether voters are using it strategically. If South Africans really wanted the land, they would understand that voting is not the end of engagement. It is the beginning of a negotiation. Local elections, in particular, determine who manages land use, determines municipal zoning and redistribution at the ground level, right? That is where the power to allocate, delay, or block projects often sits. There are examples across the continent where sustained electoral pressure has pushed land reform forward, like Kenya's 2010 constitution, which included land ownership clauses after years of organizing that turned voting into a bargaining tool. South Africans could replicate this by aligning civic groups around land-based voting priorities, endorsing candidates with concrete reform plans, and holding them accountable beyond election day. Real influence does not come from slogans. It comes from voters who treat every ballot as a contract, not a hope. If the people truly wanted land reform, they would use their votes not to reward promises, but to enforce performance.